Hey everyone, it's time for another live look at the astrology. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is your look at the astrology of June 20th through 26th, 2022. Yes, this is Empowering Astrology, and every week we gather live to look at the astrology. And I know some of you watch the replay, and it's always nice to hear where everybody is watching from. For those who do not know, I'm in the New York City area, and I work under the name Empowering Astrology. I'm saying this in case this is your first time to my work, and I've been doing these Facebook Lives, I realize, for 3 years, which is kind of crazy. And I'm just saying this because maybe you all need a little bit of encouragement, but it was like the hardest thing I ever had to do, or one of the hardest things I ever had to do, is to sit and turn on the camera and talk to you all. But here we are 3 years later, different background, a lot of life changes in the last 3 years, but that's really in keeping with the astrology. And as you hear me say every week, the astrology is 50%. You are the other 50%. Astrology is just energy. You're the secret ingredient. You've got to give this energy, your movement, your love, your choices, your heart, your soul. Otherwise, this is just energy. It can pass you by. So the whole point of this is to sort of shift our thinking about astrology, shift how we interact with astrology, and how this monthly, and I mean this from the zodiac calendar, how this monthly energy unfolds inside of us and how it shifts how we see the world around us. I mean, here we are, we're on the brink of Cancer season this week, and we're about to shift and a new archetype, and that's what astrology is. It's archetypal time, symbolic time. And we've been learning over the past 4 weeks through the sign of Gemini and learning about choice, information, ideas, choice. Gemini is the sign that teaches us about the power of duality. And here we are just on the eve of the summer solstice, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. I know some of you are in Australia and you're on the eve of the winter solstice, but that's duality. Up, down, north, south, longest day of the year, shortest day of the year. And Gemini season tells us that we have to look at both sides. We have to try a lot of different things. It builds upon Taurus season, and it gets us curious, it gets us restless, and it gets us moving. It's a dress, actually. That's the fun part, at least for me. This time of year I get to wear dresses. Otherwise I'm really cold during the winter. But yeah, we are on the eve of Cancer season, so we're going to learn all about what Cancer season means. And we're also, the other big switcheroo this week is Venus and Gemini. And Venus for the past few weeks has been the sign of Taurus, but now it goes into Gemini. We'll talk about that in a moment, what that means. But just to recap who I am, my name is Katie Sweetman. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in the New York City area, and every week we gather live to look at the astrology. I'm also a psychic medium, so I bring that part into my work, maybe not necessarily in this part where I'm talking to you all, but certainly in my client work, and I know that some of you all are my clients who are watching live. But we're coming off a very interesting astrology the past couple of weeks. We had Mercury square Saturn a couple of weeks ago, Venus conjunct Uranus, and then just a couple days ago as I record this, Venus square Saturn. That was fun. But we're going into a new season where it's the chapter is going to switch, and sometimes that first month after a solar and lunar eclipse is a little bumpy because we really get that first taste of eclipse energy. But yeah, let's talk about. Oh wait, I have something to talk about. I have a new webinar coming up on July 7th, and you all know how much I love Saturn. And this is going to be a whole webinar devoted to Saturn. It's a variation on something I've done a couple of years ago, but this one, when I work with people, Saturn is always one of the things that I immediately gravitate towards because it talks about the contract of your life. And maybe that's a little simplistic way of putting it, but Saturn is your I promise planet. And we all have something that we are promising to do, promising to learn. And this is why, 15 years ago, I hate to date myself, 14 years ago, when I had my Saturn return and I was like, wow, this planet, it's so powerful. Why aren't we talking about it more in astrology? Well, here we are. We're going to talk about it. We're going to learn what it means for you in your astrology and do this deep dive. So this webinar is going to be July 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern. I know that time is not always the best for everybody, but you can get the replay if you can't watch live. It's going to be about 90 minutes. Sometimes it tends to be a little bit more when I get really into the flow of things. But I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Information is on my website, but you can also get the link in the show notes called Facing Saturn, Learn to Master Your Life. Look, I'm still learning. This is coming from a place of a work in progress, but I have discovered some things about Saturn along the way, which I think are really important and really help to put each of our lives into perspective. We're like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is that thing I keep coming back to over and over again. So let's talk about the astrology of this week. That'll be June 20th through 26th, 2022. God, I almost said 2020. Take that year out of my mouth. As I'm recording this on Monday, June 20th, we've reached the end of Gemini season. So the sun is at 29 degrees Gemini. Speaking of Saturn, 29 degrees of any sign has an air of Saturn. Guess which planet takes 29 and a half years to go around the sun? Saturn. So when we get to the 29th degree of something, in this case the sun is at the 29th degree of Gemini, it takes on this energy of Saturn. Things have to be put into order, put in balance. There has to be equity. We have to have maturity in the choices that we're making. Somebody's like, Gemini is not a mature sign. And I'm like, I know. It's a sign about the youthful curiosity that we all need regardless of what age. But nevertheless, sun is at 29 degrees Gemini today. And it is about actually maybe being conscientious about how we're using our choices and our words today, and thinking about the choices that we do make, because these are the choices that bring us into Cancer season. So this is a good day to wrap things up, to gain new perspective. We're still in a Gemini lunar month. This is a lunar month that began on May 30th, but come this time next week, give or take, we're going to go into a Cancer new moon. So tomorrow, June 21st, the sun arrives in Cancer. So Cancer is what's called a cardinal sign because it lines up with the four directions. We have got Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. These are what are called the four cardinal signs. And these are signs that initiate. They create new seasons, new beginnings. They have that rush of new energy. But of course, Aries is a very different sign than Cancer, is a different sign than Libra, and so forth. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, where I am located, it is the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. And it's a symbolic moment where we have this realization that this is the most light that we're going to have, not to sound a little bit like a downer, but every day after this, the sun gets less and less and less sunlight. And then we get to the equinox, which is equal day, equal night. And then we get to the winter solstice 6 months from now. And then it's the shortest day of the year, but we have the longest night. And this is just the dance of duality that we do in astrology, in astronomy, in the seasons. But Cancer, what is Cancer? Cancer is the first water sign. It's primal water. What does that mean? It means, what do I need in order to feel safe and secure? Do I need care? Do I need touch? Do I need a family? Do I need to feel like I have a sense of home, connection? Cancer really talks to our most basic needs in our lives. And it does talk about family, and I realize family is not always the most pleasant of subject matters, but we are human beings, and we do have a family, and sometimes we even can create our own family, hopefully. But this is a time to get back to the things that really matter. That's really at the heart of Cancer. We don't always think of Cancer as this sign about heart. We think about Leo. Leo is the sign that's known for the heart, and it rules the heart in medical astrology. But Cancer, it's heart and soul, but it's a different type of heart than Leo. Leo's passion. But Cancer is the necessary energy, that sort of fertile energy in order for there to be life when the sun goes into Leo. So we've got Cancer season. Cancer season also puts us in touch with the archetype of the mother, whether it's your own literal mother or the energy of mothering and care, nurture. There's that sense of closeness with Cancer season, very different than Gemini season. But now we're also in the sign that really dips into the well of memory, whether it's collective memory, personal memory, ancestral memory. And because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is a witness, and the moon always is watching and waxing and waning, and the moon has that sense of memory connected to it in a different archetypical way than, say, the sun. So we get into the season which brings up deep emotions, instincts, these things that are kind of running in the background. Like, why do I need this at this time? Am I craving this because I felt safe when I had this when I was a little kid? Or do I really want to, spend time with my family right now? Or am I thinking about ways to create my own family or to create my own home? And Cancer does form the base of the zodiac wheel. It is the reminder that home and family are one of the 4 pillars of life. And even if you do not have your own family, how do you use this season to re-nurture yourself, re-care for yourself? Gather the people that are going to help you care and nurture for you. But on a more abstract level, this is a time for you to really get back to your emotional core, your emotional needs, and tend to your roots. And that's really at the heart and soul of Cancer season. So we're going to start to feel a shift as we go into this new time. Another thing that's happening tomorrow, June 21st, is Venus trines Pluto. Venus has been in Taurus, as you all probably know. I think it's since early June. I don't have my little notes here. But Venus was at home in Taurus. Venus really brought us into the energy of the eclipses and reminded us of, and this is actually very similar to Cancer season. Cancer is about that emotional need for security, stability, a roof over our head, that sense of food and comfort. That actually sounds very familiar to Taurus and to Taurus season, but that's because the moon is a technical point. The moon is exalted in Taurus, and so you really do have that sense of connection between Cancer and Taurus in astrology. They both have an affinity and a support for one another. They just do it differently. Taurus is about the material, Cancer is about the emotional. But Venus is going to change signs. It's going to go into Gemini on the 22nd of June. Before it does that, it's going to make a trine to Pluto. So this is a time when we are revisiting some points in the sky. Mercury turned direct at that 26 degrees of Taurus. Venus is there right now. These are eclipse degrees, especially the eclipse that was back on November 19th of 2022. So maybe we're seeing that recurring story that we've been seeing ever since last year, or even when Uranus went to Taurus back in 2018, May 2018, March of 2019. We're in a time where a lot of things are shifting and shaking, especially if you are what is called a fixed sign. Fixed signs in the zodiac are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And if you are one of those 4 signs, or if you have major points in those signs, it's quite possible that your life looks very different than it did back in 2018 and 2019. Certainly this year, especially with the eclipses lining up with Uranus and Taurus. For some of you all, this is a big year of transformation and going off into a new direction. But Venus is making that trine to Pluto, and we have an opportunity to transform something. To transform something that maybe we've been working on over the past few months with these energies in Taurus, and this relationships, transforming relationship and connection and value and worth. And then, as I alluded to a few moments ago, Venus goes into Gemini on June 22nd. So I love Venus and Gemini. Maybe I'm a little bit partial. I do love Venus and Taurus. Maybe not Venus and Taurus with Uranus there. I'm just being completely honest. But Venus and Gemini, what's Gemini? Well, Gemini is about the variety of life and being able to choose a lot of different things and enjoy a lot of different things. And I say enjoy because Venus is the sign of pleasure. It's relationships, it's value, it's worth, it's money, it's material stability. So we've got about 4 weeks of Venus and Gemini. And so relationships, they need a sense of connection. They need flirtatiousness. They need movement. They need freedom. They need options. But I do love, there is this kind of bubbly energy to Venus and Gemini. There's a little bit of a flirt, a little bit of a social butterfly. But also in terms of money and value, Gemini is Taurus's second sign. We don't always think about Gemini having a connection to Taurus because Taurus is the second sign. And it shows that Taurus energy, or Venus, because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, it needs to accumulate. So maybe we're accumulating over the next 4 weeks. We are getting the resources we need. We're buying things. We're exchanging things. We're trying things, sampling things. But it's a little bit of a breezy energy, but Venus is still behind the sun. So this is sort of the sense of like, this is happening in a place that's a little bit hidden at the moment, but it is shifting a little bit the narrative with our ongoing eclipse story. And so maybe we're seeing some shifts and movements and in a story that began with the solar eclipse on April 29th, April 30th of 2022. That's like the big energy for this week. Yeah, we go into the rest of the week and it doesn't it's mostly what are called lunar aspects, which typically are very atmospheric, very, very fast in their influence. But we are coming to the end of the lunar month this week. And by the time of when we have this conversation next week, we're going to be on the cusp of a Cancer new moon. So as we go into the end of the lunar month this week, it's time to wrap things up. It's time to reflect. It's time to rest. It's typically not a time to push forward and to push forward, very hard. Maybe we need to close up a few chapters. We are coming into the end of the lunar month that began again on May 30th. And Mercury is also in Gemini, so there's a sense of needing to sort of gain new perspective. And I think, especially now with Mercury and Gemini, we're getting some traction and movement because we had that really, the retrograde, and then Venus went back into Taurus. So we haven't really been able to get a lot of forward movement, let's say, in the way that we would have before. But let's look at the astrology for each of the 12 zodiac signs just as a reminder. Listen for your rising sign. If you're scratching your head and you're like, what's a rising sign? The rising sign is literally the constellation of the zodiac that's rising in the east at the moment that you're born. This sign can only be calculated when you know your exact birth time. But if you do know your exact birth time, listen for this and listen for both. I know not everybody always agrees with me because sun signs, it's really all about your rising sign. And I'm like, it's both. And I've seen it over and over again that it's both. And to have these overlapping parallel experiences that sometimes contradict each other, sometimes support each other. And maybe if you're born at sunrise, your sun sign is your rising sign, so it's a little bit more easy to figure out. But let's look at where Cancer season is unfolding for each of the 12 signs and maybe what is being asked of you during this time. So, Aries. Aries, so Cancer season is what's called your fourth sign. Now you're coming out of Gemini season, and Gemini season's all about really, trying new things, going places, movement, travel, voice, communication, ideas, and information. It's been a busy 4 weeks, especially with Mars in your own sign. You've probably had a lot of things to do the past few weeks, but now the sun's going into Cancer, and so this is a time when you need to get back to home, family, and roots. It's a bit of a shift for you, and maybe it's a downshift for you. Maybe you need this time to reflect and to get quiet, and to really come back home after a lot of busy time over the past 4 weeks. So maybe this is a very classic time in your personal calendar, especially after the new moon next week on June 28th, for there to be a move, a change in your household, a change in your living situation, focusing on family, whether it's your own family, whether it's people who have become like family, and maybe feeling into the past and memory. But that said, Aries is a time where it's a little bit more dynamic, especially as the sun, bounces off that Mars that's over in Aries right now. So this might be a time when you feel like there's a bit of a weather shift for you. But that said, you have been moving very fast over the past few weeks, and now it's time to settle in and get back to home. Taurus. So Cancer season for you is what's called your third sign. And the third sign, it's funny because you're just like right, one sign ahead of Aries. So everything sort of shifts over one. And so you're now in a time that's about voice, communication, ideas, information, and maybe taking time off, taking a trip, maybe not a long distance trip. But this is a time when you need to really think about the words you're using, the choices that you're making. And the thing about having Cancer as your third sign, Taurus, is that you're very driven to communicate your emotions and your feelings, and that you say things not from sort of that very cut and dry analytical place. It comes from a deeper place within. And that said, this is a time again for you to, maybe if it's travel, you're traveling to go see loved ones, to go see family members. Maybe you're going to experience things that you have a strong emotional tie to the past with. There's a sense of memory in this time for you. But it will, especially as you come up to the Capricorn full moon in July, it really is about travel and also about voice and communication. But Taurus, use this time to get some movement, to get some new perspective. You're one of those signs, you're a fixed sign, where it's been a little bit of a hard go the past couple of months, and maybe you just need some TLC, and especially as you get into Leo season. I'm jumping ahead of myself. That's when it really is about home and family. I should also add Taurus. Venus is your sign, and Venus is getting out of Taurus and it's going into Gemini. So it's going to be a time over the next 4 weeks that's really focusing on your material life, spending, resources, purchases, investments, even your income, and probably a little bit of a busy time for you. Gemini. So Gemini, we are saying goodbye to another Gemini season. The sun is just about to leave your sign and go into Cancer, and maybe you're feeling a little bit nostalgic already. That said, you do have some company right now. You do have Mercury, your planet. It's in Gemini at the moment. So it is a time of forward movement and new beginnings. And this is all until, Mercury goes into Cancer, probably later this month or the beginning of next month. I have to look at my calendar. But then you also have Venus Venus going into Gemini, and this is a time when you feel a little bit flirtier, a little bit more social. You want to connect to people, you want to get out and interact and socialize. But Venus in your sign makes you feel a little bit of allure, some glamour. You know, people are looking at you. But Venus also helps you, especially with Mercury there, to say the right thing, especially the thing that's going to help bring people to a compromise and to help negotiate and to weigh your options in a way that benefits everybody. But that said, Cancer season, Cancer is what's called your second sign. And when you come off of your birthday season, it's time to consolidate. It's time to really think about the concrete things in your life as you prepare to go forward into this new year, this new personal year. What do I need? What do I need in order to feel safe and secure? Do I need more money? Do I need more resources? Do I need to move? Do I need to focus on my home environment? What am I worth? What's my value? What's my self-worth and value? But this is a time when you really are thinking about the basics of life on a material standpoint. And we're human beings. We need to make sure we take care of our human lives, and that maybe you're needing to gather up items and make purchases and make sure your physical environment is comfortable. Cancer. So well, happy birthday, Cancer. So you've been coming through the end of your personal zodiac calendar, and the sun has been in Gemini the past 4 weeks, and that is what's called your 12th sign. So this hasn't been a time to necessarily rush forward. It's been a time to reflect, to see things from a different perspective, to go within, to ask yourself, what's my faith? What do I believe in? What's true? And so here we are on the cusp of another birthday season for you, and maybe you're feeling like it's time to let some things go. And that's really at the heart of Gemini season for you, is a time to let things go, especially with Mercury and Venus over in Gemini. But that said, the sun crosses into Cancer on Tuesday, the 21st of June, and it's a brand new personal year for you. So when the sun returns to your sign, you have a sense of renewal, a sense of new beginning. The sun is shining on you, hopefully. And what do you want to create over the next 11, 12 months? What directions do you want to set your sails towards? And so this is a time to really think intentionally about the journey ahead for you, Cancer. But this is typically a dynamic time of the year for you. Of course, it's your birthday season. 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, you're going to have a Capricorn full moon that puts the spotlight on relationships. But in the meantime, really use this energy of new beginnings and transformation. And especially if your birthday is on or just about around the Cancer new moon of June 28th, it's going to be a personal new beginning for you. It's typically more of a dynamic year going forward. If you're born before the 28th of June, there's a sense of needing to let something go in order to prepare for something new, in order to reflect and to gain a deeper wisdom of the year that you've just navigated through. Leo. So Leo, one of my fellow fixed signs. It's been kind of a bit of an up and down the past couple of weeks. Hopefully you're still standing. Gemini season talks about friends and community. So you've sort of come to one of the last points in your personal zodiac wheel. And how has your relationship with friends and community shifted over the past few weeks? But Venus going into Gemini continues to highlight friends and community, helps to open you towards the future, to see things, to look ahead, to strategize and to plan and to hope and dream for something better. Mercury is there, Venus is there, but that carries you forward, especially even as the sun goes into Cancer. So Cancer is what's called your 12th sign. It forms the sign that's right before your own season. And so when we reach the 12th sign, we are stepping out of one phase, one chapter of our life, 1 year, and we are stepping into that intermediary between this year, this personal year, and the coming personal year. The next 4 weeks for you is time to go within. Cancer, as your 12th sign, hints that there is this deep emotional side of you that maybe you're not always aware of, or maybe you don't always share with people. Something about home and family in the past and memory, and maybe home and family and past and memories aren't always the nicest thing, Leo. But that said, really reach into your well, that deep, invisible, emotional well, as you round out another personal year. Rest, relax, don't push. Certainly, Leo, you've been through a lot of ups and downs, especially with the eclipse season of April and May, so not that long ago. And we all need to recuperate. Life has thrown a lot at you, and maybe asked you to shift in ways that you weren't prepared for. So maybe use this time to get back into your inner self, your spirituality, meditate, pray, whatever you feel is necessary to kind of get back to you and get back to something that is beyond you, that gives you a little bit of tethering and maybe even some faith to go forward into the new year. Not to get ahead of things, but Leo season, it's the season that's going to be the midpoint between the eclipses of April, May, and October and November of 2022. So this is your season that's going to be a bit dynamic. So maybe, take a vacation, take a holiday. Don't push too hard. Go on a retreat. Spend some time alone reflecting. Because when you go into your birthday season in 4 weeks, it's probably going to be go time, especially when Mars goes into Taurus on July 5th, getting ahead of things. Virgo. So Virgo, you have Mercury in your career sign. So you're at what's called the top of the chart right now. It's about your professional life, the title after your name, your duties and your responsibilities, and the role that you play in the world. And what's been going on with career with you, Virgo, or what's been going on with your responsibilities. You do have a boost right now because Mercury is in the highest reaches of your chart. But Mercury is going to start to pull at Neptune. I'm getting ahead of myself, and it's sort of this reminder that whatever your professional ambitions are, wherever you're steering your life towards, you have to make sure that you're getting your emotional needs met during this time. That said, Venus is going to give you a little bit of a boost in your professional life, maybe give you a little bit of push to network and to interact with people, to really share your truth, your faith, your convictions with the world. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? And then Libra, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that planet, Venus, also rules what's called your fifth. So it's a time for you to really share your creative talents, endeavors, and to show people what makes you you. That said, Cancer season is your 11th sign. It's about friends and community. It's about your social circle and even looking ahead towards the future. So you're starting to come to the end of your personal calendar, Virgo, and it's with that in mind, it's like, well, where do you want to orient your next personal year towards? What's your hopes and dreams? What's your vision for the future? And this is a time for you to really seed that, and to do so by spending more time in your community, with your friends, with the people that support you and care for you and nurture you out in the world. And sometimes family they're not the people that are ones that are giving you the care and support. It's actually your friends and your community. But you're starting to come to the end of your own personal zodiac year. Of course, the start of your personal zodiac year is Virgo season. We still got a little bit of time before Virgo season, but in the meantime, really focus on your professional life. Libra. So Cancer is what's called your 10th sign. So this is one of those moments in your personal zodiac calendar where it's more of a dynamic time. If you imagine that Libra is part of this cross of signs, we've got Cancer, we've got Aquarius, we've got Cancer, we've got Capricorn, and then we got Aries. This is a time for you to manifest something, especially in your professional life. So the sun going through Cancer, I was at Canada, sun going through Cancer, it's about, what do you want to be in the world? What's the title after your name? What sort of duties and responsibilities do you want to carry? But this is the thing about having Cancer as a career sign. Whatever you do in this world, your heart has to be in it. And maybe this is your yearly reminder that your professional life has to feel like it nurtures something deep inside of you. Like you can make $1 million, Libra rising, but first it has to feed your heart and it has to feed your soul. So especially after the June 28th new moon in Cancer, that's going to be your new beginning, your yearly new beginning in your professional life. But that said, you've got Venus, your planet. It's leaving Taurus, which is your eighth sign. So this has been a few weeks where you've had to go deep within. You've had to face yourself, maybe not feel the most pleasant of emotions, but that's the role of the eighth. It's to really get you to do the work, to see what's deep within. But Venus is going to go into your 9th sign for the next 4 weeks. It's about you really figuring out, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? What's your truth? And so this is a bit of a philosophical shift for you once Venus is in Gemini. And, as you're starting to look out into the world and sort of figure out what you stand for, maybe you're reading a lot of books, maybe you're talking more about what you feel and what you believe in. Maybe you're traveling. Maybe you're searching for truth and answers out in the world. But that said, speaking of out in the world, Venus in your travel sign may even mean that you are planning a long distance trip. This could be a trip abroad. This could be a trip that's far away. Even if you're not traveling, this could be a trip where you are finding those answers inside yourself or someplace in the mind. It's a time to focus on your higher mind. But this is all to prepare you and to get the necessary skills and knowledge to put towards your professional life. And this might be a time where education is a priority for you, Libra. Scorpio. So Scorpio, you're one of my fellow fixed signs. And just a little check-in on your planet, Mars. Your planet Mars is still over in Aries. And it's a time for you to really work and to get your human life, your work life in order, to start new projects, to get things organized, and even get things cleaned out. It's also time for you to focus on your health and wellness. And Mars in this part of your chart, typically, it's a little bit of a workaholic, if I'm being completely honest, and maybe you've been working very hard the past few weeks. Mars is halfway through its journey of Aries. It's going to go into Taurus on July 5th. So we've got a couple more weeks of really grinding through life. And then Mars is going to go into your relationship sign in the beginning of July. That said, we've got Venus, a relationship planet, switching signs this week. It's going into Gemini. And for you, Scorpio, Gemini is the sign that really makes you face yourself. It's about intimacy, vulnerability. It's about really getting a little bit uncomfortable and maybe even talking about the things that we don't normally talk about in polite company. It's a bit of a vulnerable place for Venus to be. It joins Mercury. Mercury has been in Gemini since earlier this month. I think it was the 3rd of June. So you've already had to do a lot of deep examination. The 8th house, the 8th sign, it's a space that, in a way, Scorpio, you're already very intimately familiar with because it's a space that has a connection to Scorpio. And Scorpio is a sign that knows, just like Gemini, that life is about duality, it's about choice. And how do we use those choices? Do we use those choices destructively? Or do we use those choices to transform and to do better? in the world. But that said, Cancer season for you, Cancer is what's called your ninth sign. And the ninth sign is about, what do you stand for? What's your truth? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? It's a space that really lifts up your eyes out of your day-to-day environment and helps you to look out into the world. It also builds upon the experience that you've had while Mercury and now Venus has been in your eighth sign. What have you discovered? What deep, dark truth has been revealed about yourself or even about others? And how has that shifted what you believe in and what you stand for? But that said, Cancer season is a natural time for you to travel, to see the world, to go the distance, so to speak. But at the heart of it, it's the need to experience more and to sort of see the world and to have these experiences. And because it's Cancer, to go places, visit places that really touch on your heart and your soul. So you may be traveling to places that you've been to before or have a strong sense of memory and connection, and enjoy it, because when we go into Leo season, it's gonna, especially with Mars in Taurus, the beginning of July, it's gonna be busy. It's gonna really bring up these energies of the eclipses for you, Scorpio. Sagittarius. So Cancer season brings you out of Gemini season. And Gemini season is your season to look at relationships. It's about the people in your life, not just romantic relationships, but certainly romantic relationships are a part of this. The seventh sign, Gemini in your case, is where you learn to socialize, is where you become aware of other people and the needs of other people. So even though the sun has moved on, it's gone into Cancer, it's, you're still going to have Mercury in Gemini, and now you have Venus in Gemini. So relationships are getting a lot of focus right now, and even as that carries into Cancer season, there's a need to do relationships, but also look at that deeper side of relationships: intimacy, vulnerability, trust, control, power, even the dark side of relationships, abuse, and the things we don't typically talk about. But this is a time to really open up, in a positive light, to open up to somebody or to people in general on a much deeper level. There's, the seventh can be a bit surface, but it's in the eighth where you really form that deep connection with somebody. When you have that eighth connection with the seventh, and especially in relationships, you want somebody that, like, if the world is ending, that they are by your side. They are fighting alongside with you. That's the level of trust and connection that you want. So it's a really good time for you to advocate for what you need, what you want. But that said, Cancer season, especially Cancer being Cancer, it's a time that does dig into that well of memory, family memory, emotions. Am I safe? Can I trust? Can I love? Can somebody hold me, please? That's that energy of Cancer, but it's through the lens of the eighth, and the eighth sometimes brings us life's most intense experiences. But that said, it continues to be about relationship. Jupiter, your planet, continues to be in Aries. It's about the self, creativity, and even romance. Capricorn. So Capricorn, Cancer is what's called your seventh sign. So you're wrapping up Gemini season, which was all about work and projects and tending to the minutia of day-to-day life. And here you are preparing to step into this new season that's all about other people. So when I say relationships, I don't just mean romantic relationships, but certainly romantic relationships can be a focus at this time. But Miguel is barking at whomever's in the hall. Anyway, sorry about the little doggy barks. Hey. But Cancer season is a time for you to connect with people, to naturally socialize and to interact and to connect with the people that you really love. both Cancer and Capricorn are more traditional signs. And I just mean that in terms of signs that really want the things that, this is a general comment, of course, maybe it's different for you, but typically want the things that we are conditioned to want. So this might be a time when you are like, okay, where's my safety and stability? Where are my people? Where's my relationship? How do I tend to my relationship? And maybe it is more about other people right now. And really, especially after the Cancer new moon of June 28th. But that said, you do have Mercury and Venus. Venus is your career planet. Venus is your career planet going through your 6th sign. So typically when there's a connection between the 6th and the 10th, you're busy. You're busy with work and projects and getting things done. It's a little bit of a grind, but it's all about, I think, maybe even networking and delegating and sharing over this time that's so much about work and projects. Don't neglect health. Make some healthy choices. And now that Venus is there, maybe things can go a bit more smoothly, especially with all the ups and downs of late. Aquarius. Aquarius, you are a fellow fixed sign. So really hope you're hanging in there. I know the past couple of weeks had some tense Venus aspects, and for you, Aquarius, Venus is the planet of home and family. And if it's not about your home and family the past couple of weeks, Aquarius, it is about that emotional core. Am I safe? Am I getting everything that I need? And maybe you've seen some personal and major milestones in the past couple of weeks, especially as Venus made that conjunction to Uranus and then made the square to Saturn. That square was just a couple of days ago. But that said, quick check-in, Saturn is your planet and it's retrograde as of June 4th. So you're in this 4 or 5 month period where it's about pulling back and reflecting. It's more receptive than it is about active. Doesn't mean that your life is on hold. It's just the tide pulls in, the tide pulls out, or retrograde, the tide pulls in. Your planet Saturn will go direct on, I think it's the 23rd of October. So you've got a few months. But that said, you got Gemini, which is your 5th sign, and you've got Venus and Mercury in the 5th sign right now. So there's an element, Aquarius, where it's about you expressing yourself, really focusing on what makes you an individual, your talents, your gifts, and your abilities. Being Gemini, maybe even having something to say as well. The planet that rules home and family, Venus, is now in the 5th, so maybe it's about children. Maybe it's about your home environment and creating more beauty in your home environment, or even like making your home environment to be an expression of who you are and your individuality. But that said, Cancer season is about health and wellness. And for the next 4 weeks, Aquarius, you have to take care of your physical body, your physical life. Maybe especially after the Cancer new moon on the 28th of June, this is a time for you to set healthy intentions going forward. But that said, really pay attention to your life. And this means getting your life organized. And because it's Cancer, we don't always think that, Cancer would have a connection with Aquarius, but yeah, Cancer is Aquarius' 6th sign. So it's like, I want to make sure that I'm doing the things that I love. My heart is in my day-to-day life. My heart is in my projects, and really giving some, TLC to your physical being as well. But as you're focusing on your physical life, the beauty of the energy that's over in the 5th right now, it's really about making sure that even as you're doing all these projects and getting things done in Cancer season, that is really coming from a place of passion. It's really coming from a place of you, because that's at the root of the 5th in anybody's astrology, is the need for passion. And passion sounds like a luxury, but I can assure you it's a necessity to life, because without passion, there is no creation of life. And to go into the 6th, where you have all these things to do, you've got your to-do list, you've got to take care of this and do these errands and make sure your day-to-day life runs smoothly. But if it's all work, and no heart, no passion, then you're going to feel really drained and burnt out, Aquarius. But I know it's been a little bit of a lot of ups and downs lately, so make sure you're having a little bit of fun right now and that you're making time for passion. Pisces, here we are at the end of the zodiac, and Pisces, you are a water sign and Cancer is a water sign. So Cancer season, it connects you to what's called your fifth sign, and the fifth sign is where you get to express who you are. It's your talents, your gifts, your abilities. It's your ability to really express your individuality, your persona, and even your identity. So use this season to reconnect to you. What makes you you? There's only one you on this planet, I can assure you, Pisces. Each and every one of us has the individuality within ourselves. But that is a time to really prioritize the things that you love, the things that are in your heart, and the things that actually feed you, Pisces. But that said, you got a lot of stuff still going on in your home environment. You've got Mercury, you've got Venus now, and so your home environment may be a bit busy at the moment. And with Venus there, maybe you need to make some purchases for the home environment, invest in the home, make the home pretty in some way. But it's also a time when you're having to focus on family and the past and memories as well. That said, Pisces, Jupiter, your planet, continues to be in Aries. It's sort of in this time that's about money and income and creating some material stability in your life. But Cancer season is going to bring you into that need to express who you are, but also to create that sense of grounding and anchorage in your life right now. So that is your look at the astrology of June 20th through 26th, 2022. My name is Katie Sweetman. I thank you all for joining me every week. I know some of you are every live you're here. I see you. I thank you. I know some of you are my clients. Yes, I hope you all have a magical week as well. We're in that interesting time between the solstice. It's a power time. So use it wisely. Really think about this what Cancer energy means to you, and just to remind you, I am doing that webinar on July 7th. I know we've got a couple of weeks, but that's going to be a really good way for you to understand a very important planet in your chart, which is Saturn, and that's the planet that helps me, at least my perspective as an astrologer, understand what's in your contract. So the links are in the show notes. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. You can also sign up for my newsletter every week. I do a newsletter and give you some advanced look at what's going on the week ahead. And look forward to talking to you all next week. So take care. Be well. Bye. Ooh, gotta do this.